It's been a little over a week since New World has come out, and whether you've been holding off to see if it's a game for you or you're waiting to see everybody's opinions on it, I have some tips and information for those of you who are starting your journey in the New World. Heads up everybody, my name is SentinelGray and welcome to the channel. New World is a game that I literally did no research on, did not play the beta, or didn't even get remotely hyped for, and I think I was better off for it. Usually I'll lose like a whole bunch of sleep over a game like the night before, or get super hyped to the point where like it pains me to wait to play it. I know some of you out there watching this right now know exactly what I mean. And I have my own thoughts and opinions on the game, which I'll make a video here soon about. So I want to give you guys some good starting information about New World in case you are jumping in before that happens, or if you jump in anytime soon. Before I do that though, I want to remind everybody watching that liking and commenting on the video as well as subscribing does actually help us YouTubers out. I know it's become a meme at this point, but if you want to help us out, those are some of the biggest ways along with sharing videos that you could do that. So I literally wrote down like 18 different things on a notepad that I thought would help new players. I want to go through them and expand upon them as I do. Number 1. There are no classes in this game, so whatever weapons or armor you want to use, you can do that. There's 11 different types of weapons in the game that you can literally change to on the fly if you so choose. Are you in the middle of a dungeon and need another healer? Well, if you happen to have a life staff on you, there is nothing stopping you from swapping to it mid-fight. And with the ability to have 2 different weapons equipped at a time, you can very quickly go from range DPS to healer with a few drags of your mouse if you want to. Number 2, start the game off by doing everything, and I mean every skill. Usually I'm the type of person, I even said it whenever I first started playing with my buddy Nem. I was like, listen, if you need a cook, I got you. Bring me all your food stuffs, I'll make things. But there's a total of 17 different skills in the game that don't involve combat. And as soon as you can, I would suggest doing them all. These skills range from cooking, skinning, tracking, logging, mining, harvesting, and so many other more. And a lot of them can be very easily leveled in the area that you start out in called First Light. If you want my personal suggestion, you will be in good shape for going almost anywhere in the game if you hit level 50 in mining, logging, harvesting, and tracking/skinning. In relation to that, as you collect the materials from doing those skills, you can also level your woodworking, smelting, and other things that require those materials. Number 3, everything in this game gives you XP, from killing enemies and completing quests to chopping down trees and skinning animals. Because that's the case, you can very easily level yourself up a couple times just solely based off your crafting, refining, and gathering skills. Do not skip out on doing this, especially when there's an overabundance of trees and boulders around First Light that can be easily used to boost your gathering skills. Number 4, as soon as you can, craft and equip every type of tool on your tool belt. Your tool belt can hold one of every item it takes to use your gathering skills. A pickaxe for mining, a sickle for harvesting, a fishing rod for fishing, all of it. So if you end up getting to First Light and don't already have a full tool belt, I suggest you find the materials just to craft yourself the basic versions of them so you can at least go and do those whenever you find those types of things out and about. Number 5, anything that you equip on your character doesn't weigh anything in your inventory. So let's just say, for instance, you have a naked character with nothing equipped on them and all the stuff that you would have is in your inventory. Well, if you dress them all up and give them everything from armor to weapons and even your tool belt and food, the weight that all those items are on your person no longer take up that weight in your inventory. So if you end up being over encumbered by just a few pounds, you could take that great axe in your inventory and equip it in place of your rapier so you can move freely back to town. Number 6, any gear that you're not using or that has a lower gear score than what you have equipped, make sure you salvage. Lower gear score means lower stats, and that goes for damage and defense. So if an item isn't higher than what you currently have on, I say scrap it. The only time where this doesn't apply, in my opinion, is whenever you're wanting to try out different types of weapons. If you want to try out a fire staff and the only one you have isn't quite as high as the sword that you have on, I say hell with it. Go for it. Give it a shot. Number 7, when you die, you don't get any debuffs or lose any items. You just lose gear durability. Gear durability lessens as you use it, so don't worry. Most gear is fixed with coin and repair parts. Coin you get from obvious things like quests, loot crates, boxes, whatever, killing enemies, that sort of thing. However, repair parts you get from scrapping gear, which is another big reason why you'll want to scrap any lower scored gear that you have. The more repair parts you have, the more you can repair the rarer weapons and armor. Number 8, do not worry about saving materials in the beginning of your playtime with this game. Use what you have to level your skills because you'll get a lot more later. This goes for gathering materials like wood, iron, or food, as well as things like Azoth and repair parts. Use them as you need them, regardless on whether it's to increase your skill level in something or repairing your tools consistently because you're out gathering. I promised you that you will always gain more down the road, and you should not be afraid to use something. Number 9, yes, there is fall damage. Depending on how much health you have is how high you can fall from and live. Either way, you can fall from pretty far and not take as much damage as you'd think. It's actually pretty nice. Number 10, factions mean little in terms of core gameplay. Only wars and storage transfer between towns. Once you do a few quests around the first town that you go in, you'll be asked to pick a faction. I'm not going to sit here and try and convince you that one is better than the other, don't worry. This is merely me telling you that from what I've seen, factions don't alter your core gameplay very much, if at all, in the game. The most factions have going for them is the big PvP wars that happen when factions attack another's territory, and the linking of storage. Speaking of which, number 11, your town storage only links whenever your faction controls territories that are touching, are connected, whatever you want to call them. Each town has a separate storage shed for you to store all your items, things like the materials you've either made or gathered or something like that. And I do believe every town starts out with 1,000 pounds of weight for you to store. The only way that you can pull storage from another town is if that town is then in a territory that is not only controlled by your faction, but also if it is connected to another town or another territory that is also controlled by your faction. Regardless if that territory is 4 territories away, if your faction holds control over all 4 of those territories and they're all connected, you can pull from one end to the other. If not, that means you gotta grab your stuff the old-fashioned way. Number 12, remember when you go into a new zone or territory or town, whatever, make sure you go to an inn to set a respawn point for you. Each territory has what is essentially a main town that you can go to. Every single one of these towns has an inn that you can register at. Registering at an inn does 2 things for you. 1, if you die, you can immediately respawn back there, no problem. Like I said, death only affects your gear durability. And 2, every hour you can fast travel back to the inn free of charge. Now, usually you can't fast travel whenever you're out in the wild just adventuring, but with having an inn registered, you can teleport back to whichever inn you have registered at that current time once every hour. I know it sounds rough, but believe me, it's not as bad as you think. Number 13, if you ever see a beam of light shooting up in the air, make sure you go to it and activate the fast travel shrine. Towns aren't the only places you can fast travel to. There are fast travel shrines all over the map in New World and can only be traveled to after you have found them and activated them. Once activated, you can use those shrines as you wish. Just remember, if you ever see a beam of light shooting up into the sky, that is where a shrine directly is, under that. Number 14, fast travel costs more Azoth the more you weigh. In New World, you'll gain this material called Azoth, which is used for a number of things like crafting, upgrading, and also fast travel. Well, whenever you fast travel from either a town or a shrine out in the middle of nowhere, it will cost you more Azoth to travel the heavier your inventory is. So let's just say I have 20 pounds in my inventory. That might cost me 30 Azoth to fast travel. But if I have 120 pounds, that may cost me somewhere around 150 Azoth. Those aren't exact numbers, but you get the idea. Number 15, you can only hold 500 of any single ammunition on your person, not in your inventory. I do believe ammo goes in stacks of 500 even in your inventory, so there's that knowledge. But basically 500 bullets or arrows weighs a lot, and being able to put as many as 500 in your pockets is a lot better than it weighing you down in your inventory. Plus, it's also there whenever you need it if you want to play a range build. Number 16. Your total armor type is determined by the total weight of your armor. So you can have 3 pieces of light armor and 2 pieces of heavy and be considered in the medium armor class. I hope that makes roughly enough sense. I don't have any deep dive knowledge on that yet, like numbers or anything like that, but there's a bar next to your armor whenever you equip it on your character screen that tells you the weight class that you're in regarding if it's, light, medium, or heavy. From the things that I've heard, light armor seems to be the way to go for endgame, just because none of the other armor classes have the damage reduction stats that heavy does. There's no dodge mechanic for medium armor or whatever. I'm sure this will change in the future because, it's a new game and everything like that. Number 17. All of your attribute points can be respec'd at any time. This includes your points for weapon abilities and your regular attributes like strength, dexterity, and constitution. The nice thing about this is that it allows you to bend your character in different ways depending on what gets buffed or nerfed in the game. Like for instance, a lot of endgame stuff is having players focus only on putting points in strength and constitution if you're a melee fighter. With patches and hotfixes or whatever adjustments they make to the game, this might change. So in the future, people who already have dedicated those points to that thing, they don't have to go make a new character just to be caught up or just to be viable. That is going to be it for all the tips and information that I have for you for right now. If you're someone watching this who has more advice to offer, please put it down in the comments below for not only the sake of new players who might be watching this, but also for myself as well, because I know my level 25 self could use just as much help as I could get. But that is going to do it for me for today, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you all next time, and remember, keep your heads up and be kind to each other. Bye now.